Laba diena.
Good morning. Let us start our conference to discuss the elections of the President of the Republic of Lithuania and referendum on the amendment of Article 12 of the Constitutions. There are more than 2.4 million voters on the electoral roll. They could cast their votes at 895 polling districts. They also could vote at 52 embassies, and there were additional 9 polling stations where needed. Around 15,000 members worked in the commissions, and the elections were observed by 2,000 observers. More than 270,000 voters cast their vote in early voting, which is 11.59% of the total number of voters. Yesterday, more than 1,200,000 voters cast their votes, and the turnout in the presidential elections is 59.28%, while in the referendum the turnout was 58.96%. The most active voting took place yesterday from 10 a.m. to 13 p.m. One of our bigger supermarkets shared the information that they service approximately 0.5 million people, while yesterday we managed to service 2 times as many people, and it's all because of the 15,000 people who work in our team. As for the presidential election, it's the 8th election in the independent Lithuania, and in terms of voter turnout, this election ranks in the 3rd place. More active people were only in 1993 and 1997. The lowest voter turnout was in 2004, less than 50%. Then it kept increasing, and this year is 3rd in terms of activity, and people are getting more and more active in shaping the future of their country. The last results were received at 6 a.m. We're waiting for the results from abroad because ballot papers had to be sent to the embassies yesterday. We're going to finalize the results on Sunday. I believe that everyone saw the preliminary results. You saw the discussions, you saw the comments by the politicians, but I would like to reiterate that no single candidate got the requisite number of votes. Therefore, the second round of voting will be held in 2 weeks. Gitanas Nausėda got 44.11% of the votes. In the second place is Ingrida Šimonytė. She got 90% and 78.78% of votes. Then we have Ignas Vėgėlė, who received 12.37% of votes. Then Remigijus Žemaitaitis, who received 9.27% of votes. Eduardas Vaitkus, who received 7.32% of votes. Andrius Mazuronis, who received 1.38% of votes, and Gediminas Jeglinskas, 1.35% of votes. The difference between the first 2 candidates is quite significant. We all know that the candidates to the post have to collect 20,000 voter signatures. And I believe it is possible that when the results are finalized, everyone will have gotten those signatories. In comparison to the referendum which were held 5 years ago. More than 1.4 million people voted in the referendum, and it's more than it was in 2019.
In 9 of the municipalities, the turnout at presidential elections exceeded 60%. Those municipalities include Neringa, Birštonas, Palanga, Kaunas district, Druskininkai, Vilnius city, Vilnius foreign election district, Šiauliai, and Utena district election districts. These were the ones where the turnout was the highest in Lithuania. We received over 100 of reports, questions and complaints from the electors. We responded to most of them. We continue to receive some of those reports from the voters to this day. We informed them on the complaints that they had. Some of the voters informed us on the fact that there were people who were able to see some of the campaigning posters still unremoved in some of the public spaces. Some of the commissioners received information that some of the polling districts were at risk of having not enough ballot papers. So they were forced to bring some extra ballot papers from the nearby polling districts. We had such situation simply because people were able to vote not only in their own polling districts where they are registered, but they had the chance to do that across the country. So some of the polling districts received more voters than expected. In particular, there were 3 such districts, namely Vilnius district, Saulėtekis polling district. Certainly there were students mainly who actually came from different districts but were able to vote in Saulėtekis polling district. The Senamiestis or Old Town district, as well as Labonoras polling district. These were the 3 polling districts which received higher than expected turnout, because there were people who were able to vote in other districts than registered. And we're also aware of Akmenė, one of Akmenė polling district, which was flooded by the participants of bikers, and the district did not expect such an overflow of the voters at that particular time. We still receive some information that there were people who were not visited by the commissioners who had to participate in the voting at home. We definitely contacted the people who had some problems and informed them on the situation. There were certainly such cases where the commissioners failed to find the voters who registered to vote at home. I believe you've already heard the story from yesterday when we had one voter who was supposed to vote at home, and the commissioners failed to find her at home, and so they were forced to call the voter. And they learned this way that she was in the shopping center. So they went to get her there, and from there they brought her home where she could finally vote. There was also another case of a voter who was not at home when she was expected to be there for the voting at home, and she was in her out of town village. So we still continue to receive similar information, and all of the voters that will contact us will be informed on their situation. Each polling station contained posters informing on the candidates in the elections. We did not receive any complaints from the voters on the lack of clarity in those posters, although we received some complaints on the fact that some of those posters were missing in some of the polling stations. We also received some information on the cases where some of the ballot papers were not delivered to the voters at the polling stations, and we informed those voters that the right to vote is universal and people can choose where to participate, whether in the referendum or the presidential election or both. We also received complaints about the missing international observers, certainly the OSCE observatory mission. So to have more clarity in the situation, we would like to inform you that in 1996, the parliamentary elections were observed by 40 OSCE observatory mission participants. In 2009 presidential elections, we were visited by the OSCE needs assessment mission, which did not require sending its own observers for the election. We were also visited by the observers in the elections in 2012, 2014, 2016, 2019, and 2020. I would also like to express our gratitude to all the stakeholder institutions who took part in the entire election process to ensure a proper process of the elections. We're grateful to our police forces as well as other institutions that we participated, that we cooperated in the election process. We're grateful to the election commission members who had to undergo certain training. We did not observe any voting violations. We are grateful to the different institutions involved in the election observation process. A number of different institutions were involved in adapting the polling stations for installing sign language opportunities for voting. We're grateful to all those institutions that contributed in the entire process. I apologize if I failed to mention some of those who took part in the process, and we will definitely express our gratitude to all those institutions after the election process will be over. Once again, I would like to express our gratitude to the election commission members. We're grateful to the efforts of those people who were employed for a very short period of time. They had to undergo certain training and follow certain instructions, and they made every effort to make sure that they do their work diligently and sincerely. We're grateful to the monitors of the elections, observers of the elections, thanks to which we were able to react to the complaints that we received on the election day. We will definitely make sure that we will eliminate the opportunity for those complaints in the future. And as always, the electorate is the most important for every election. We have over 2.4 million of people who are able to vote. Out of them, 1.4 million of people came to vote. So very happy with the high turnout this year. So we're grateful to our voters for choosing to contribute to the building of the future of our country. So that would be it on my part. And now questions. Jūratė Skirytė, my question concerns voting abroad. Since the votes received there are added to Vilnius city district, could you classify those votes in terms of different countries, perhaps? Well, we don't have all the information just yet, but it is important to note that a record level of turnout abroad was also recorded in this year's election, which is important to note. Algirdas Andriukaitis, signatory to the Act of Independence of Lithuania. I wonder if you heard about the fact that this year's referendum was conducted in a way where the voters had a chance to vote on mandating the supreme institutions of Lithuania to amend the Constitution of the Republic of Lithuania. If you have any example proving this fact, could you present this? I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly. Well, I would like to repeat then. The voter during the referendum had a chance to mandate the Seimas to adopt the changes to the Constitution of the Republic of Lithuania. In other words, making the Seimas the creator of the Constitution of the Republic of Lithuania. Well, to that I have to say that the referendum is called by the Seimas of the Republic of Lithuania. This is also contained in the Constitution of the Republic of Lithuania. The Constitution provides for the grounds for granting the citizenship of the Republic of Lithuania. The referendum proposed adopting a constitutional law which expands the explanation for granting citizenship of the Republic of Lithuania. How many people did not take the ballot papers for voting? Well, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's a very small share of the population. 59.28% of the people turned out to vote, and 58.68% turned out for the referendum, and only 0.34% did not return their ballot papers. If there are no more questions, I thank you, and I hope to see you during our next press conference after the runoff elections.